Space, survival and spelunking. Here are the 10 best indies on PC. One of the dangers of making an indie games list is that by the time you watch this, it'll already be out of date. Maybe some incredible new indie title has arrived since we wrote this, or maybe Microsoft has bought all the studios that made the following games, so they're sort of not really indie developers anymore. But however you spin it, indie games truly represent everything brilliant about playing on PC, a constant stream of incredible, unusual games that celebrate creativity and imagination. Here, in no order whatsoever, are the 10 best indie games on PC.
That's a lie.
Few mediums can compete with games as a form of escapism. They let you play as dashing heroes or despicable villains. But it's the likes of FTL, a top-down, real-time roguelike that recreates the horror of being lost in space, that truly surprises. Who knew playing as almost certainly doomed astronauts would be so ruthlessly compelling? There's something about the noble sacrifice of this interstellar adventure that really sparks the imagination. Yes, you're probably going to die, but the flailing, hilarious, emergent ways it happens will keep you coming back for more. And better still, you can name your crew after your real-life friends or enemies and ruminate on the nature of existence when they get devoured by alien spiders. It's what Louise would have wanted. Probably. Alright, it's perhaps wrong of me to include Undertale here, a game I've crowbarred into numerous previous list features, a selection of which you can see in the description, while leaving out the likes of Stardew Valley. But as well as being a compelling take on brilliant old games like Earthbound, Undertale also feels like the quintessential indie title. It has evocative pixel graphics, an engaging, heartfelt story, and genuine admiration for the games that came before it. And that's precisely why I keep banging on about it. Everyone who loves games should try Undertale. If it doesn't click for you, that's absolutely fine. Nobody here will judge you for being wrong. But if you do love it, if nothing else, you're giving yourself the opportunity to nod along sagely, while I inevitably, selfishly include it in endless future list features. Spelunky is great for a number of reasons. It's a crisp, intuitive game that you can understand in seconds. And it's so difficult and so compelling that you can basically play it forever, delving into its uncompromising procedurally generated depths for as long as your nerves can handle it. It really captures the threat of old school games with less of the unfairness. Yes, it is deeply frustrating, but you'll usually only have yourself to blame when things go wrong and you end up crushed, shot, skewered, or whatever word exists for being killed by bats. Battered, that'll do. And Spelunky is also inspirational. It might be the most universally acclaimed PC game made by just one person, and it spawned a host of homemade games that wouldn't exist without Derek Yu's savage homage to the action adventures of yesteryear. When first putting this list together, I was tempted to include Papers, Please almost by default, if only so I got to hum along with that theme tune for the umpteenth time. But Lucas Pope's latest game, The Return of Obra Dinn, has nudged his bleak bureaucracy up off this list. Not that they are in any way similar, of course. Papers, Please is about stamping passports. Obra Dinn is a meticulous, thoughtful puzzler set aboard an abandoned East India Company ghost ship. But Obra Dinn gets its documents stamped because it's an exacting, immersive puzzle game that plays with your expectations and provides a smart twist on the classic whodunit. It's like playing a piece of art, and it's indicative of its creator's absurdly broad skill set. On the basis of his last two games, it's impossible to predict what Pope will make next, and that's another reason why indie games are so great. You can't have a list of indie games without including at least one survival game. Rust almost made the cut, but I've gone with Don't Starve instead because it looks like a beautiful nightmare, plays like a gothic novel, and thanks to the 2016 expansion, encourages jolly cooperation rather than competition. It's a game that makes you appreciate the food you've stored, fear the wilderness, and dread the inevitable winter. If you want a survival game that doesn't involve running around while naked and hitting things with rubble, Don't Starve is an elegant survival game for a more civilized age. If you can call being eaten by dogs elegant, which of course you absolutely can't, only an idiot would. I know I just did. I'm an idiot. Let's move on. It would be quite easy to fill this list with wistful, pixelated classics, and honestly, this could have been a list of 100, not just 10, so take Factorio as my attempt to add something slightly different. It's a gorgeous, compelling management game that starts small, having you focus your attention on things like mining resources and staying alive. But before long, it expands to devour your entire existence, and you find yourself crafting machines and managing processes with obsessive, mechanistic abandon. Yes, I did just get excited about managing processes. And that's the beauty and compulsion of Factorio. It's a game that celebrates automation and makes you feel brilliant about crafting smart ways to solve your repeated problems. Few things in life are as satisfying as sitting back and watching it all just work. Now, if only there was some way I could do the same thing for writing scripts. I'm going out on a limb here, but The Binding of Isaac might be the best roguelike dungeon crawler based on an Old Testament examination of faith ever made. And even if there isn't much competition, The Binding of Isaac, which has our wretched hero fleeing to a monster-filled basement to escape his murderous mother, deserves its place nonetheless, cowering as it does in the corner of this list feature. It's a genuinely grueling test of skill, a tough enough challenge that most people who persevere with it end up suffering from what fans like to call RS Isaac. And on top of all that, we can consider this my concession to Louise for leaving off Stardew Valley. Because yes, Louise's brain loves a gentle farming sim as much as this relentlessly bleak car crash through a tortured child's psyche. Make of that what you will. With Fortnite now so ubiquitous that even your uncoolest uncle knows what flossing is, it's easy to forget how recently Minecraft ruled the gaming world. But here's the thing, it still does. The Mojang building game has sold hundreds of millions of copies, and around 13 million more users per month play Minecraft than Fortnite. Just because we don't talk about it as much, it doesn't mean that it's not a big deal. And as brilliant as the game is, with its wonderfully moddable mix of adventure, online gaming and creativity, Minecraft is equally important culturally. Its success coincided with an explosion of coverage on YouTube, and numerous creators owe their broadcast careers to the popularity of this blocky voxel classic. Minecraft then is more than just a game, it's a phenomenon and a yardstick against which all future titles will be measured in terms of success. You officially don't exist unless you've been made in Minecraft. Gone Home is the sort of game that triggers emotions you thought games never could. Yes, there's a bit of fear here and sadness in sepia-tinged spades, but that deep, enveloping sense of nostalgia makes the game feel unique. It's like experiencing someone else's story from a thoroughly personal perspective, and if you allow yourself to be drawn into it, it immerses you in a way that might change how you look at games. It says everything about Gone Home's writing and construction that you can personally identify with protagonist Katie, even if you're not a Street Fighter loving Riot girl. This really is something only video games can do, and Gone Home's powerful, affecting storytelling is reason enough to include it on this list.
So much has changed, even just since you've been away.
Our final entry is proof, where it needed, that the indie title basically covers every type of game imaginable. Kerbal Space Program is what would happen if DreamWorks decided to make a space sim, and it turned out to be one of the most exacting, scientific, creative games ever made. The goal here is to launch your poor gurning Kerbals into the stratosphere as you build a space-worthy craft through iterative design. Something doesn't work, change it and try something else. But the reality is failure. Repeated, brilliant, hilariously awful failure. And it's this process that makes Kerbal so compelling as you stumble towards progress while your poor balloon-eyed minions pay the ultimate price for your guesswork. Kerbal Space Program is a guilt-drenched triumph. And there you go, we could keep going basically forever. We didn't mention Braid, Super Meat Boy, Hotline Miami, or a million other games you're welcome to remind me about in the comments below. Hit that like button if you love your games pixelated and perfect, and if you are already subscribed to the channel, please remember to ring the notification bell so you know when our next upload lands, or, tries to.